Hello. I had a few more thoughts on the Summer Wells case and just thought that I would speak about those now while they were fresh on my mind. Taking some information from the National Center for Exploited and Missing Children, as well as some documents for investigations on child abductions. I've researched into this over the last few weeks of this case, and some thoughts that come to mind right now while we're fresh on my mind, I thought I would just put them down. So welcome, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and welcome. Thank you for being here. So this weekend is the weekend that the EquiSearch is on the ground, and I know we're all waiting and hoping, and everyone has a sense that something is going to come to light from that. And I really think that it will. If nothing else, we're all going to really welcome any kind of updates as far as even what they did not find, I think. I think that's just going to help us. I think we get even more antsy when there's not information about. So anyways, when I'm looking into the research, a lot of things come to mind, but especially information about child abductions and exactly how rare they are. These types of cases where it's a non-family abduction, and that's what I'm going to be talking about, whether I state it or not, I am not going to be referencing a family abduction because we're not looking at an abduction from her mother, her father. We know we know that's not what we're looking at. It could have happened, and maybe they hid the child and they don't have them with them, but that is not what I'm referring to. I'm going to be talking about a child abduction in the case where it is not the family. Now, that can be a complete stranger, or that can be somebody that has a little bit of knowledge of the family, whether it's a mailman that drove their route, or whether it's a friend of a friend of a friend of the family that has some knowledge, or even if it's a much closer friend of the family, a friend of one of the relatives, or a direct friend of one of the parents. That's what I'm going to be referencing whenever I'm talking about abduction. Of course, it could be a random stranger that had just was a passerby. And in that case, it would, in my opinion, have to be something like Summer left her house, had more time than we had been given, like 30, 45 minutes. She walked all the way down her driveway, to a road that somebody could have been driving by, and somebody grabbed her up. That kind of thing does happen. Usually, yes, it is that kids are grabbed up off of their bikes or something like that, but that's because the majority of children that go missing in that way are school-aged children. So they are, that's going to be an opportunity type crime where they're away from their parent, they're out on a bike, and they can be snatched up easy, or snatched up, not on a bike, but they are away from their parents. So that's the case in those. Now, when you have a child that's preschool age, chances are they can be with their parents even, or they might have walked just a little bit away from their parents, but it does not exclude the chance that their parents might be right there with them. In that case, I guess they're just really going to have to be like the parent was hit and the child was grabbed. Now, that wasn't reported to us, and we don't have any reason to try to believe that the parent was attacked and maybe blackmailed to not say anything further. That's really not what I'm thinking or trying to imply. But the chance that maybe Summer walked away and further away than we had once thought, or even thought that she would, such as walking down her driveway, walking way out into the woods. what I want to talk about is some of the things that haven't been we haven't been able to rule out completely, such as the witness in the red truck. We haven't been able to rule this out to find out for sure they didn't see anything whatsoever. That's something that we want to rule out because we can't stop looking into that until we can rule it out. Then, in a recent interview with the young man that was with Candace on the day that Summer had gone missing, he mentions a phone call, and that brings up some interesting points. In the phone call, he mentions that there's talk about the people on the property touching the kids, watching the kids. Made a comment about the parents even told them they were going to have to call the police, and finally they left. But that in particular, and then they spoke about some Billy, which was, I don't know, a friend of Grandma's, or I think the young man said has the hots for Grandma or something like that. But any things like this are interesting to me. Also, the camper that was trying to camp in a tent on property adjacent from the wells, property that was for sale. And I think it was said that possibly this person, the camper, had been arrested. I can't find anything to say for sure about that, but I want to talk about the importance of these random people. And that is because whenever I've looked deeply into searching after what are we looking for here, it came to note for me to be of particular importance when we're looking at this investigation that these are so rare. They are so rare and they're so unique, and I also feel like that tends to be a reason why I've left it as a possibility in this particular